Hi, everybody. It's Bizzy from Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. Busy Living Sober. It's episode 228. How is everybody this Tuesday, December 15th? I'm sorry, I'm hours late to the game. Life's just a little crazy right now with the holidays and everything else that's going on. But I just wanted to tune in and say hey to everybody. And today I want to talk about the holidays. I want to talk about COVID. I want to talk about feelings. And I want to talk about addiction and alcoholism. I know we're going through one of the craziest times of our lives. None of us have ever lived through a pandemic. And alcoholism, as we all know, is skyrocketing in people's homes and mental health and things that are going on right now in our homes is like really scary. And whether to go out, not to go out, some cities and states are closed, some aren't. And that feeling of uncontrol, being out of control. And when we feel like we're drinking too much. I have had the pleasure to work with a lot of people recently that are dealing with these issues and dealing with like, oh my gosh, it's COVID and I can't stop drinking. And I don't know when it happened that this drinking took over my life, but it did. And what am I going to do now? And I believe that coming to a place where we realize that our relationship with alcohol is no longer working is really hard. It's really hard because it's such a society thing, right? Everybody in society drinks, everybody parties, and everybody's going and getting booze, and people are getting on, Zoom calls and having Zoom birthday parties, and people are drinking on the Zoom birthday party. And you're like, I want to be drinking on the Zoom birthday party, but when I get off the Zoom birthday party, I'm still drinking, and now I'm by myself and I'm drinking, and I'm like, wow, how did I get here? How did I get here? And why is it taking up so much of my life when it didn't take up so much of my life before? And I think a lot of the reasons is this sense of being out of control, not being able to control anything right now. I think that once we are in this place of like, I don't know, I can't get out, I can't go to work, my work's closed because I work in the restaurant industry, or I work at a store, or I have a job that's no longer in existence anymore, and I don't have any money, and all I want to do is like whitewash away all my pain. I'm in so much pain and I have so much fear about so much that I just don't even want to think anymore. So just get me another drink. And it's totally, it's normal. I mean, it's normal that we get to this place where we feel like alcohol and ourselves do not have good relationship. And it's like, what do I do now? And you don't want to go to a Zoom meeting. A Zoom AA meeting seems really scary. You want to be around people. You want to touch people. You want people to hug you. You want people to look you in the eye and say they relate to what you're going through. And I want you to know that if you don't like one Zoom meeting, there's another Zoom meeting. I want you to know that there are meetings around in different places. They have a lot of them have capacity laws that are a lot smaller than they ever were, because back in the day we let everybody into any meeting we went to. Today you don't have that, and getting to that place that you're like, I just don't like who I've become. It's really hard. You know, I can tell you that when I broke up with alcohol, because that's just what I want to say what it was. I broke up with it. We had such a horrible relationship because every time I tried to manage it, nothing. I could never manage it. Right? I could never manage the alcohol because once I had one, I had 47 people. I don't know if you relate to that. Like once I have one, I'm off to the races. And it was dealing with my feelings. And in the very beginning, I kept myself so busy that um, I didn't want to have a feeling, so I kept running. And I don't mean physically running because I'm not a runner, but I mean emotionally running. Like I'd run from here to there to here to there, get on the phone, not get off the phone, stay on the phone talking to people all the time. Because if I did that, I didn't have to have a feeling. And that is really hard because feelings are so scary. I thought that if I had a feeling, I was going to break into a million pieces, that I'd have to be institutionalized, that something horrible would happen to me if I had a feeling, and if I cracked open a little bit, that then I'd crack open a little bit, and I could never get back again. And I ran around like that. I ran around like that for, you know, 13 years sober. I ran around like that, 13 years sober. I ran around, running around, not having feelings, not having feelings. And during COVID, I don't want to say I had a psychic break, but I had a psychic break. I was like, I got to deal with some of this stuff that's deep down inside of me. And I worked with sponsors my whole life, in a room, you get a sponsor, a spiritual guide, whatever you want to call them, a fellow traveler. And I had somebody that was there that I would call and talk to, but that wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed more. And I ended up going into a 3-day program of intense therapy. And I did it from home, and I spent all day doing it from, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. And I locked myself in a room here, and I dealt with a lot of stuff, and, came to some real facts about myself and about my past. And I had to learn about forgiveness. And forgiveness is really, really, really hard. And forgiveness is a spiritual thing. For me, it's more of like, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And people are like, I don't want to hear your sorries anymore. Like, enough sorries. And it took me a long time to forgive people. And some people that I've forgiven, I haven't actually even talked to the people and their family members, and I haven't talked to them personally because I just don't feel like I'm ready to do that. Um, but in my heart, I've forgiven them. And it's not that they're not easy conversations to have with people, and they're especially not easy conversations to have with people, especially if the person isn't also sober or works some sort of program or has some form of spirituality, because I think that a lot of people walking around today are so filled with fear, and I think fear is dark. I don't think fear is light. I think fear is it's darkness. It's darkness in your soul. It's darkness inside of you. It's there's no light, and fear comes out as anger, right? Fear comes out as anger. It sometimes can come out anxiety. It comes out in all different I can use many adjectives to describe fear, but going to that place that you're like, I don't want to feed this fear anymore. I want to be okay with who I am. Who am I? What makes me tick? That getting that, it takes a long time. And I think the first step for me was admitting that I just don't, you know, I don't drink alcohol like a normal person. I just never have. Um, I have one drink. I can remember the red that would come down. And my face is kind of red because I played golf today and I'm kind of sweaty, but still. Um, I remember the red feeling of heat that came down my body. And when it came inside of me, and that feeling like, it's like it's very fleeting, meaning it doesn't last very long. It maybe lasted like a minute, maybe, but just that sense of like everything's okay. I don't have to be scared anymore. Alcohol took that fear away. Alcohol took away that sense of like I wasn't, when I was self doubting and I was a loser and all those things that went through my head when I drank, that feeling went away. I was enough. I was enough just being here right now when I drank. And admitting that's what happens. It doesn't matter like the falling down, the slurring of your words, the all the other things that happen from drinking alcohol. You know, you lose bodily, you can't really take care of you can't make thoughts, you can't make good decisions when you're drinking. So having that sense of realizing that's where you are, like I drink and I don't like myself. I don't like who I turn into. I love that minute that it gives me of like feeling like I don't have any problems anymore. I love that feeling, but I don't like the other feelings that go along with it. And it's like, but how do I stop it? So for me, it was like literally surrendering that drink to that drink and realizing that it doesn't work well with me at all. Like I definitely have an allergy to it, and I definitely change when I drink. And it's proven fact that alcohol is something that happens. It's an allergy. It's an allergy to alcohol. And nobody ever really talks about that. They think it's a moral dilemma. It's because I'm a bad person. It has nothing to do with that. It's just when you ingest alcohol, bad things happen. And the problem is that we have this brain that tells us, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And all of that doesn't matter at the end of the day. What the reality is that you don't like yourself after you've drank. And not to mention the people that are around you that are like, wait a minute, you are a totally cool person. But when you drink, you're just a jerk. You're like, wait a minute, I'm a jerk. I'm not a jerk. But yeah, when I drink, I am a jerk. When I drink, I am a jerk. And when I drink, I do things that I wouldn't normally do. And I hate that about myself. And it's not because you're a bad person, it's because you process alcohol differently. You have an allergy to it. You're allergic to alcohol. You and alcohol don't mix. But you keep going back to it because you want to do it because everybody else around you is doing it, and it's what normal society does. And it's especially great when you're in the around the holidays because I don't have to feel. And oh my God, my life's been so tough during COVID, and I can't imagine not drinking. I need it. It's getting me through each day. It's like it's crazy. I mean, you think about it. They close all the gyms in cities, but they don't close the liquor store. But we need to go to the gym because we need to exercise. And it's like kind of like screwed up, that whole thinking. It's like, wait a minute, you're closing the place that I need to go so I don't worry about up here because that's my way I take care of myself, right? I go to the gym. But now you've taken away my gym. So, but I can go get a bottle that's going to actually not do anything good for me except for take me out of myself and then have me hate myself the next day. It just doesn't make any sense that our cities and our government's doing this to us right now. And then they take away our jobs. And for a lot of people that are out there that I know a lot of people that work in the restaurant business. And when you close my restaurant, that's where all my friends are. That's my family. I don't have a family I go to. That's my family is my family at work. And you've taken them all away from me and you expect me to be okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I have a friend slash, woman that I've been working with like for 20 years, and she works in the medical field and she works for my doctor. She's a nurse who works in my doctor's office. And I was talking to her last week and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, oh my God, I'm just so depressed. I'm not even putting up a Christmas tree. I freaking hate this. I'm just, forget it. I'm not even doing Christmas. And I was like, oh my God, you can't let these people win. You can't let these people put up your Christmas tree. It'll just to turn it on will make you give you joy. Just to see the lights on a tree in your house will bring you joy. Don't let the people that are out there in the universe make you go deeper into yourself and that loathing and the hate and all that stuff. Don't go to that. So you know what? I am going to put up a tree. I don't give a rat's patootie. I'm going to put it up for me, even if you're by yourself. Put lights up. I have to tell you, I have a friend who decorated her entire house in wrapping paper just so she could feel happy. She's like, I just want to see happy. I have lights everywhere. I put up a tree everywhere, and now I have wrapping paper everywhere on my walls. Because she covered all of her paint, all of her photos in her house with wrapping paper because she just wanted to feel joy. We right now there's so much dark. There's so much negative. It's just so dark, dark, dark. It's this whole fear and darkness, and not to get too religious on everybody, but the devil's dark. The devil's all around here. It's like the darkness is everywhere. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to feed this darkness and I'm going to feel uncomfortable and I'm just going to feed into it and I'm just going to drink myself so I don't feel as bad as I feel. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to let them win. And I say they, I don't even know who they is, but whatever's out there in the universe, it's causing this darkness and this fear and all the rest of it is. And you can say it's the government, you can say it's the president, you can say it's Fauci, you can say it's all these different things, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's taking away your gift of the presence. It's taking your gift away of loving you. It's taking your gift away of being there for everybody that you love that's around you, because you're going to this dark and you're going down these rabbit holes that are so deep that we can go into, like what's going to happen and what's happening with this and what's happening with that. And it doesn't really matter. Yes, it matters. So you do your part. If you voted, you voted. If you gave somebody money that works for an election because you wanted to support their campaign, great, you did that. But once that's done, it's done. What the outcome is isn't our business. But having faith that something's out there that's bigger than you is so important. And when getting sober, this is a spiritual thing. Getting sober is spiritual. And I don't want to say it necessarily has to be God. It's God for me. But if it for you, it's the sunrise, like it is for my dear friend and another friend I have another friend today that's trying to get sober. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to make it be Mother Nature and just the sky. And I'm like, cool, whatever it is, just to know that there's something out there with light that I've got to pay attention to. And if it has to be the sun, and sometimes it's going to be behind clouds. And I know the Northeast is expecting a huge snowstorm, but there's still sunlight behind those clouds. You have to remember that when you go on a plane ride and you go up into the sky, right? You're above the clouds. Above that storm that's above you is the sun. There's light. We want to get lightness into ourselves. We don't want to have this fear. And the alcohol just brings on more and more darkness. Don't you want more light? The dark doesn't give you any freedom. It gives you this sense of like, I have no control. Everything's bad, everything's bad, everything's bad, but it's not going to be bad forever. It can't be. It can't be. And having hope. And if the hope has to be that this is going to be over, just say it's 2023. I know it's going to be done way before 2023, but let's just say we say 2023. So it's 3 years away, right? All right, 3 years, it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a hard time, but I can do this because I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do this light right now. I'm just going to do the light right now. I'm going to get outside even if it is cold. I'm going to say, I'm going to pray to something. And even if it's to the sunrise or to the sunset, or if it's to Buddha, or if it's to Allah, or if it's to God, or if it's to Jesus Christ, which are the same, going to that, going to the light and realizing that all I have to do is do this one day at a time. And most people are up for what, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. You sleep for 8 to 6 hours a night. And so staying up for those 10 to 12 hours, let's say, what are you going to do for those hours? Are you going to still feed into the darkness? If watching the news is making you crazy, turn off the news. Turn off the news. The news isn't good. The news isn't good. There's nothing you're going to change about the news. And being informed on what's happening in the world, does it really matter to your little life? No. Does it matter to mine? Not really. Yes, I want businesses to open. Yes, I want people to get back to work. Yes, I want there to be meetings again that you can go to and touch your friends and see your friends. I want all of that to happen, but I have no control over it. I have no control over the sun rising and the sun setting, but something does. And if I have faith in that and I feed into that, my life's going to be better. It just is. And if I realize that this thing with alcohol, now, if you're drinking a lot, and if getting off alcohol, you could go into a seizure, I don't recommend doing that by yourself. I recommend you going and talking to a doctor, going to a hospital, getting someone to help you detox is very important because you can die from going off alcohol if you don't have help. So don't do that. But if you have been drinking and it's not gotten to the point where you're, having it 24/7, but your relationship with it is bad, going and turning I started going to meetings. They were in person because it was 14 years ago, but today I still go to a meeting every day on Zoom. And I kind of find it fun because I'm like, it's like the Hollywood Squares, right? It's like the Hollywood Squares, or it's like the Brady Bunch. Remember, everybody had a square in a Brady Bunch, and everybody had a square in Hollywood Squares. Now, if you're young and you're listening to this and you don't know what the Brady Bunch is and the Hollywood Squares, Google it, go to YouTube and watch a video and you'll see what I mean, because everybody's in a little square. And getting to that place and realizing I'm going to make this fun. I think that we are all capable of making things fun. It's when we say, I can't change this. That's a lie. Somebody's telling you a lie that you can't change something. You can change the way you think. You can change any negative into a positive. When God gives you lemons, you make lemonade. When you have this time going on, and if you're not working right now and you can do things to take care of yourself, redo your place that you live. If you have to go buy paint, buy cheap paint, change your room, paint it a different color, you know, go and, get plants to have inside of your house. If you live in an area that's really cold, get something that you can take care of. Water your plant, prune your plant, have something to take care of. If it's a Christmas tree that you're going to put up, put lights somewhere in your house, even if you're not Christian, and if you don't even believe in any Christianity, put lights in your apartment anyway, because that's light there. Your feet, that's light in your life. That will lighten your load, because you're going to see light around you, which is going to give you peace, and you're going to get this feeling, like, sense that everything's okay. I'm with the light. All of us come into this world by ourselves and we die by ourselves, right? That's just the way it is. It's just like we don't have a ton of people around us anyway at the beginning of our lives or at the end of our lives. So if I have to find this place where I feel comfortable within myself in my house, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it comfortable in my house. I'm going to make it bright and sunny. If this room's really dark that you've been sitting in and it's too much for you, go buy a gallon of paint. It'll cost you $20. I think if you buy cheap paint, I think you can buy like paint that's like an oops paint for even, I bought paint for $5 when I had no money. I scraped together $5 with quarters and bought a gallon of paint, of white paint. It was in the oops section at Home Depot, and I changed the paint. And I'm a horrible painter, and I got paint in the ceiling. I didn't mean to, but I did, and I live with it. And it was just, but it made me happy because I did it myself. I was like, wow, this makes me feel better. It's lighter in here. I like the way this place looks. It feels happier. It's taking care of those little things. If you don't feel great about yourself, take a shower. If you're a woman, put on makeup. If you're a guy, you wear makeup, put on makeup. You know, if you need to do sit ups, you don't need to go to the gym. You can work out in your house. There's so many people that have got all these creative ways to work out today at your house with nothing, with just like a chair in your house or a ball in your house. Using those things. If you feel like working out, you need to do something like that. You don't need to necessarily spend money to do any of these things. If you have these things in your house, if you don't have a Christmas tree, buy a Christmas tree on the 25th, or go buy it on the 26th when they're just free there, and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to have Christmas a couple days late. Nobody's going to persecute you for that. You can get a free tree then. And you could put paper on the tree. You could put popcorn on the tree. You could be like the olden days and make it pretty the way you want to make it. It's just making sure you take care of the light in your life. There's so much darkness right now. It's so dark. And then you put alcohol on it and it just makes it darker. It just doesn't make it any, there's no light then. I always, one of my best out examples that worked for me in my head was thinking that I was in a church. And you go to a church and you see a stained glass window in an old church, and it's got soot on it and it's dirty and it's gross. And you're like, oh my God, that was so beautiful at one point. That was me. My soul was dark. Couldn't find any way out. There was no light. It was like, how am I going to get light? How am I going to do this? I'm like, how am I going to do this? This is so hard. I've got to break up with alcohol, and it's so hard. And how am I going to do it? And I'm like, how are you going to do it? I did it one step at a time, and I did it 1 hour at a time. Some days it was 1 minute at a time. It's like, I really want to drink. I really want to drink. Well, the money you would spend right now on drinking, go get stuff for your place to make it pretty for you. Order flowers to be delivered. If you don't spend money on booze, you're going to have a lot more money to spend on your house. Go and get flowers, get balloons, do something that's going to make you happy. If it's balloons, if it's lights for you can buy lights at, I bought them at Michael's, and I think they were $4 for a strand of 100 lights. If you get a little baby tree, 100 lights is going to go a long way. But you plug it in and there's light in your house. And you're like, I'm not going to drink because I'm just going to sit here and look at the lights. I'm just going to look at the lights. I host a meeting every day on Zoom. It's you can find it on my website, the Zoom information. You don't need a passcode. You don't need to put your name on there. You can go in as iPhone or Galaxy, whatever you have, whatever it is device you use to sign into this from the net. You go to Zoom and you put in the code. You go to busylivingsober.com and you go to Morning Hope, the Morning Hope tab. That's the key. That's the link to the meeting. And you go in there and you find people. And you go early and you talk to people, and you stay late and you talk to people. I have new friends that I've never met before, one in Vietnam, a bunch in Washington State, in Delaware, in Pennsylvania, in Florida, all over the place. But if I don't take the time to do these things and nurture me, and I just keep picking up that bottle, the darkness is going to stay. There's no other place for it to go. You're not replacing the dark with anything. You've got to replace it with light. How are you going to find light in your life? How are you going to find it? You need to find it yourself. And you're worth it. And it's going to take time to get to this place. And sometimes you're going to say, this is so hard. And reach out, call someone, email me at Bizzy, Bizzy, at buzzylivingsober.com. I promise I'll respond to you. But these are tough times we're coming into. You know, we call it the Bermuda Triangle. There's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas, and there's New Year's. They're all three dangerous. They're dangerous times for people, and especially now. And if you're feeling alone, get something to make yourself feel good. Make your favorite dinner. If you're like, I don't want to make a turkey for myself, make spaghetti. No, get sushi. Whatever it is that you like. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, you take care of that instead of picking up that drink. And if you don't drink one day, that's a huge thing. And I want you to be really proud of yourself that you didn't drink that day. And if you didn't go and buy that bottle or that 6-pack and you save that $5, go buy some more ornaments. Go buy yourself some flowers. Go buy yourself some balloons. Go buy yourself something that's going to make you happy. If it's getting a subscription to Netflix for $14 a month, if you save up, that's not very much. You can do that. You can watch Netflix and watch Christmas movies and feel like total joy. You're like, oh my God. I mean, no one has a perfect life here. Everybody has a problem. Everybody has gone through this life, has something happen to them. No one comes out of this thing unscathed. It's what you do with it in the future. If you realize you have a problem, how are you going to change that? How are you going to change your relationship with it? If you know that you and alcohol don't mix, don't drink anymore. And I know that sounds so hard. You know, it sounds so hard, and I make it seem like it was so easy for me. It was not easy at all, but I replaced it with other stuff. I was like, what else can I do? I took a lot of baths. I take baths. I light a candle and I take a bath, and I put on my favorite music, and that just brings me joy. It brings me joy. It brings the light in. It takes away the darkness. It's the light. It's like I've got to focus on where is the light in my life, not the darkness, because there's a lot of darkness and you can keep feeding it and you can keep watching the news and being upset about everything that's going on that you have no control over, or you can take care of the stuff that you have control over, which is your thinking and your environment. So take care of your thinking and your environment. Again, if you've been drinking too much that you think you can't go off by yourself, you need to go to a hospital and they will detox you. But you can do this. The crazy thing about Zoom and AA is that it's free. Okay? It's free. You don't need anything. Zoom's free. You just sign in, you put in the code, and you show up. And if you don't like one meeting, you go to another one, and you can go to another one. If you also, or if you're out there and you're like, I can't make an 8 o'clock meeting, it doesn't work for me, I sleep till 10, I can give you a link that will show you every AA meeting in the world at every different time. There's a meeting all over the world all day long, 24 hours a day. And if you don't like this one, go to the next one. If you don't like that one, go to the next one. And find, if you go, don't listen for the differences. Listen for the similarities. How can you relate to that person? There's going to be people that you aren't going to like, that are going to turn you off, but that doesn't matter. Find the next person that you like. You didn't like every bar you went to, you didn't like everybody you work with, but you're going to find somebody, at least one person that you're going to say, you know what, they've got something. I like what they had to say. And maybe send them a message in the chat. Say, hey, what's up? This is my number. Do you have any time to chat? And it's like really just taking yourself out. Right now, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. You don't have to have your camera on. You can just have your voice there. If you don't want anybody to see you because you feel so yucky inside. But if you put your voice out there and you make yourself known, people will chime in and people will want to hear you and they will want to help you. I just want you to know that you're not alone. This darkness doesn't have to keep going anymore. How are you going to get light in your life today? What are you going to do today to take care of you? Where are you finding light? It's so important to find the light and stop going to the dark. Stay in the light. Don't keep doing what you've been doing that isn't working. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Stop. Stop today. Stop the insanity now. You can get off this trip. You can stop digging. You've gone down a hole that's already dark. It's time to start climbing out. What does your ladder look like? What does your ladder look like? How are you gonna climb out of this and be okay? I can tell you that going back and replaying the times of yesterday isn't gonna work, because guess what? Nothing, no money in the world's changing yesterday. All you have is today. That's it. Today. So what can you do today? Today, that can make you feel better and that can feed the light. That's my challenge to you. Thanks for listening to me today. I've got a great guests that are coming on Thursday. It's going to be really interesting. I've got a mother and son coming on, and they got sober at the same time. It's very interesting. It's a very amazing story, and they wrote a book. So come tune in on Thursday. Write to me if you feel alone. My dogs are freaking out now in the background, but write to me. I will always respond, I promise. And you can reach me at Bizzy, Bizzy, at Bizzy, Busy, living sober. And again, remember, you do not have to be alone. You can make the change. You can do it. You can do it. Please, I'm your cheerleader. Please, 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 please do it for you. You're worth it. Find some light in your life. Okay, everybody? And until next time, keep getting busy, living sober. Bye bye, everybody.